taxpayers of the county of Monroe. And once we make the conversion in the year 2011, we will immediately in 2012 and 2013 and 2014 begin to see accelerating benefits from that, because it will automatically drop the debt service costs of those later years, because we won't be borrowing as much money in 2011 and 2012. So I sincerely suggest to this body that we have tonight a unique opportunity to begin to set the financial house of the county of Monroe in order. To be in the CIP, the projections of the debt service in the year 2011 give us a unique opportunity to make the conversion for annually recurring expenditures from debt to cash capital without adversely impacting the taxpayers of the county of Monroe. And I would sincerely hope that all of my colleagues will join me in making this effort to begin to straighten out at least one of the fiscal problems that we have that have nagged this county. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is an admirable attempt to address a problem that we're all very much aware of. We've been dealing with the finances of the county now for some number of years. But to pop this up as an amendment to the capital improvement program at this point in time is inappropriate. To make this kind of a change should be submitted to the planning boards and the people that put the capital program together. And certainly we've got enough time to do that, because every year the capital program is reviewed and reset up and reprogrammed. So certainly I think this is commendable. I would love to be able to pay cash rather than to borrow. It's in my private life as well as in the government life. But I think that this is more appropriate to be reviewed by the people that put the capital program together and the finance people in the administration, so that we're not jumping to conclusions here at the last minute at a legislative meeting. I personally, where I agree with the concept, I have to vote no on this on the basis that it's just an inappropriate time to do it, but certainly it should be reviewed by the administration.
Further discussion? Mr. Brown?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you for acknowledging me. If it's inappropriate to bring it up at this time, then what alternative do we have? The only alternative is to vote yes or vote no for the CIP. It's unfortunate that the position was taken that we don't have the opportunity to make amendments to the CIP. With all due respect, I think it's our obligation to review the CIP thoroughly. It's our obligation as legislators to consider all aspects of the CIP. And if we're interested in making a change, to bring that to the full legislature to consider. And in fact, as Legislator Haney pointed out, I think the important aspect of this amendment to acknowledge is that it doesn't delete any project. It doesn't add any projects. It doesn't change the year that the projects are anticipated to be conducted. All it does is it takes advantage of a fiscal situation which is identified in the CIP itself, and then it applies that fiscal situation to a policy that I think many legislators and the administration have articulated, and that is that it would be a better approach to pay as you go to change the way we do business here, and to stop borrowing as much money as we have been in the past. Therefore, I think it is an appropriate amendment this evening. I think it's one that we all should consider, and it doesn't change the substance or the concept of the CIP at all. It merely changes the way we're going to do business. And we've got to start soon changing the way we do business in this county, especially as it relates to fiscal management. This is a small step, but it's a good start, and I would encourage my colleagues to vote in favor of it.
Further discussion? Mr. Haney?
Mr. President, as Mr. Bronson just pointed out, we're not changing the content of the CIP at all. And that's the planning board's responsibility, to schedule the projects and decide on what projects should be in the CIP. With all due respect to my colleague, Mr. Driscoll, I can't think of any responsibility that is more fundamental to the legislature of the County of Monroe than making a decision about how things will be financed. I can't think, I mean, we speak of jumping to conclusions. This is the county legislature. This is the conclusion. This is the concluding element of the process. And it's now on our desks to make the concluding statement. And with all due respect, I can't think of anything more fundamental to the reason why the voters of this county send 29 of us here to meet monthly. I can't think of anything more fundamental than deciding how elements of activities of the County of Monroe should be financed. So, Mr. President, I think it's entirely timely and entirely appropriate.
Big surprise here, and I think we should go forward. If Legislator Driscoll is correct in that there's some problem that perhaps we're not anticipating now, this could certainly be amended in the future. But I think it's important for us to send a message now that we found a unique opportunity to adopt the elements of this amendment now in a way that won't adversely affect taxpayers and in fact will work to the benefit of future taxpayers. This is an action we can take and should take tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further discussion?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am encouraged by this discussion tonight. My only reticence regarding this issue is that it has not been discussed until this evening. I am not an accountant. I will never profess to understand the finer parts of accounting. This is certainly a complex issue with very large and very real numbers. I believe that there's $2.8 million in fact in capital that we're discussing here. I wish that this had been discussed earlier, and I wholeheartedly agree with Legislator Haney that this should be discussed. And I also agree with my colleague, Legislator Driscoll, that this is an issue that's worth consideration and careful discussion. And again, I will say that I wish that this was an issue that we had discussed further. Legislators, or earlier rather, Legislator Driscoll intimated that this is an issue that we should revisit, and I will reiterate that sentiment, that this is an issue that we as a legislature should, along with the finance folks in the county, consider carefully. I do not believe at the 11th hour we should be considering a $2.8 million move in the capital improvement program. I believe that the issue is an important one. $2.8 million certainly isn't an insignificant amount of money. I would appreciate more time to consider and discuss this going forward. And I believe that the time to have considered this would have been the months that we have had to review previously in prior years, and certainly with this CIP, and have a discussion at various committees going forward. But not as an amendment in the 11th hour on television with cameras rolling to discuss this So I'm committed to